All right, this is recording is 746. So you can find me on ChristinaStation918.com, or you can find me on YouTube. Pretty soon I will have all of my recordings up on Spotify. So I'm still in the middle of like merging everything over. Right now you can only get up to recording 514. Okay, so, and you can find me on YouTube. Just type in Listen Next. You can put it in Google, in Google, PUTITINGOOGLE, space NEXT space DASH space, and then the number THENUMBER. If you put it in quotes, it should pull right up. Or you can just look up my name. You're going to find my podcast. It's called Speaking to the CIA. Okay, so this recording, I told you I decode all kinds of everything. Okay, so because everything goes into her massive terror plots. Okay, and everything I decode, some of this is like I was explaining, like with the F and the T, some of this is, and you can go through, like you can go through all my Nostradamus recordings, you can go through all my Holy Bible, you can go through everything. Okay, so it is because Jean Roberts is the leader of Charles Manson, and she has secretly undermined and pre-plotted and pre-planned these terror attacks. Okay, and it is all a part of her rendition of her trying to control Revelation. She's trying to undo and outdo God. Now, in this, I've learned so much about the Holy Bible and prophecy, like true prophecy. What I like to study more is Hopi prophecy and Mayan prophecy, but I have people that talk to me in my brain all the time. They listen to me, and then they're like, then they show me this is here and this is here and this is here. This all lines up together. So anyway, so in this, sometimes when I decode, I'm decoding something that she has used and abused and manipulated and tried to control as a part of her terror plot. So I've already got her turned in. I'll continue to turn her in for crimes she commits. But then the decoded ciphers, okay, some of these ciphers are precious, okay, that she has abused. Okay, so those are what I call, like, I forget the word I call them. Like they're amazing. Okay, so this is something that is amazing. Okay, so I want to talk about and go through this decode with you that I did. Okay, so what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to see all my recordings and see all my decoded ciphers on Revelations, the Holy Bible, Nostradamus. Okay, and then specifically around the plagues and end times, and specifically around the four horsemen of the everything Holy Bible. Okay, so also the golden ratio, the Fibonacci. I know I'm probably not saying it right. The Fibonacci spiral, or the golden ratio. Okay, so I am fascinated with the Fibonacci. I am just truly, I want a necklace. I want my children and my grandchildren to have necklaces. It's total perfection. It is the human being created by God, created by Allah in pure perfection. And you've listened to my recordings before talking about that, talking about how everything about us is created intentionally and purposely designed with just complete and absolute perfection. We are precious people. Humans are so divine they don't realize it. And so the Fibonacci spiral is everywhere. Okay. And I've talked about this in previous podcasts. It's in math, it's in science. That's why they call quantum physics the God particle. Even that, all of it, it's amazing to me. It's totally amazing. It's mind blowing amazing. Like how this perfection occurs. It's just amazing. Like our society is just now advancing, but it shows how advanced like God was way back then. It is amazing. So, and it's also in human beings. And you can see this spiral in, let me show you how perfect we are. If you take your arm, your left arm or your right arm, and lift up your arm, like put it, like hold it out vertical, bend your forearm up so your elbow is bent, and then take your hand, your fingers, and curl them by your temple on your head, like you're thinking. Like, you know, you lean to think. Do you see that curl there? Do you see how your arm extends out and your elbow goes up and your hand curls down? That shows you our arms were created in perfection. That's a Fibonacci spiral. It's amazing. It's in the arches of our feet. So I've already gone over our feet with you. It is in the womb. It's in our ears. The shape of our ears is a Fibonacci spiral. Also, our spine. Okay, so our spine up into our skull, our head, everything. That is a Fibonacci spiral. It's completely mind-blowing, okay? So anyway, that is more there. This is more of this, okay? So anyway, I told you, and I've turned her in for all the stalking, okay? So I told you Gene Roberts is very obsessed with fingers and toes. Very, very, very obsessed with fingers and toes. Okay. And she always has been. And I told you back early memories from my early childhood, from like when I was 2 or 3 years old, looking back, because I've got memories in my brain that are impermeated in my brain because I'm supposed to be able to look back. Because I decode all this in the future, which is now present day, and I go through my whole life and I see everything. Okay. So anyway, her using robotic technology on my mom and me. Okay. With and just like her robot controlling me when I was little, Gene Roberts used robotic technology on me when I was little, when I was 3 years old, to cut an orange on my own with a freaking butcher knife, and she sliced my freaking finger, and I've still got the scar. Okay. So there's something that stayed with me all of my life, and it's just a silly, stupid little memory, but when I look back, it's not silly and stupid. It creeps me out, like how long you have been stalking and abusing my family using this technology on us, like we're little freaking experiments or something. So my mom, she used to say, when I was really little, we used to go to Jack in the Box. Okay. And I loved going to Jack in the Box. I always wanted breakfast jacks. So I remember it being Jack in the Box, and they sold, and my mom is famous for making these. She's famous for making steak fingers too. So see, that goes to that too, even the initials steak finger, SF. Okay, so, and I used to make steak fingers for my husband and my kids and stuff. So anyway, so my mom, when I was real little, like 2 or 3 years old, my mom was like, they used to sell them. They used to sell steak fingers. And she went through Jack in the Box and she ordered some, and I don't know how this cross transferred into my brain as a child, because I can't see my mom saying it to me, My mom was talking about literally like, let's get some steak fingers from Jack in the Box. And I was in the passenger seat. I was so little. And I was like all excited because my mom got steak fingers, but it cross transferred in my brain early on. These are bony fingers. And I can remember looking at the steak fingers and going, bony fingers, bony fingers, bony fingers. And that has stayed in my brain my entire life. Like, I don't think about it. I mean, I think about everything now because I look back and I see all the ways that Gene Roberts ice raped me and my mom, my family, and stalked us. But like, I look back and I'm like, so no, my mom could not have said bony fingers to me unless she was like joking around. But I can't see where she would have done that. But somehow it cross transferred into my brain, bony fingers, and that's what I thought they were bony fingers. Like, that's all I would say over and over and over is bony fingers, bony fingers, bony fingers. And so, anyway, so now, present day, I look back and I go, okay, I know I'm supposed to pay attention to fingers, okay? So, and I'm supposed to pay attention to bones. And I already know that all the bones in your body, I'm supposed to pay attention to everything, okay? So I know bony fingers is very, 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 very important. So, anyway, and all I can ever think of present day, which always goes in my brain, is Skull and Crossbones. Okay. And I think of Yale University. Oh, people are trying to process as I'm thinking right now, like how this translates to me as a child with my memory, because that's what's in my brain right now, Skull and Crossbones and Yale University. And you guys know how much I love Yale University. I cherish them. They are good people. So so fingers are very important. And you can tell Gene, and I decoded, remember my podcast where I decoded all the digits and I decoded the hand and I decoded the true meaning and true purpose of thumbs and how all that correlates biblically. Okay, so, and you can see how Jean has abused fingers and digits for her own debauchery, her con, which funds her terrorism. I mean, she is horrific. She is evil, which I don't even pay attention to her. If you see her like moving my hands to moving my eyes to, she moves my whole body, but if you see her moving my eyes to like my hands or something, okay, that's Gene Roberts using robotic technology to like move my eyes around. She's trying to signal to someone. So you got a sick person signaling to another sick person, thinking they're getting away with their just grime, okay? It's crime that they're committing and trying to get away with. And what people do in my brain, which is really cool, they've done a couple of different things. When Gene tries to attack my hands, I also decoded the alphabet. You know how you can count the months on your knuckles? Like January, February, okay. That's intentional. That's not such a cute little, easy to remember thing. We're intentionally designed around time. How does the world begin? Time. It begins with numbers. It begins with time. Okay. We are perfectly created. So the ability to go January, February, March on our knuckles is not some cute little thing that our school teacher taught us. We're intentionally designed that way. It's amazing to me. So I decoded your hands. I decoded my hands a couple of different times. But this one particular way is I decoded the alphabet on my fingers, and I figured out how to layer and arrange it by offsetting it, and all kinds of decoded ciphers came out for each finger. And I was like, this is crazy. Now, I was living in Slidell, and she was on In My Brain watching, and she's trying to lead and push me into thinking that it's some super secret mob code. So, and I don't realize that she's doing that because she's pretending to be good spying in, but she's not. She's evil, but I don't realize that yet. And this is in my brain. Like, she pays attention to my brain activity and output. So I'm sitting there going, looking at this, and I'm like, is this mob? And I'm like, well, maybe this is mob because they use um your pinky ring is mob, right? So I'm like, is this mobs? Like, I'm considering what she's saying, which is her, like, you can tell she committed crime and she wants to go hide under the mob and she wants to steal from me and she wants to pretend that she's me to someone and then go get away with her crime. So she's like, it's like she's like in my brain, like on her end going, that's it, Christina. That's it. There you go. Let me put this in your brain. Mob, mob, mob. Go ahead. Take the bite. Take the bite. It's mob. And then I'm like, maybe this is mob. And then she's like, ooh, good, good. I mean, it's literally like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's like a freaking witch, like trying to lure me into her like con hellhole or something. So anyway, that's like literally a scope of what's going on in my brain. So how the pinky ring, and then also your fingers are really important to very significant to Japan, okay, and history of Japan. Yakuza, what does Yakuza do? Okay, which this is fascinating to me too. If you're in the Yakuza and you do something that they ask you not to do and you do it, then they cut one of your fingers off. Okay? So that history translated over into American pop culture with what people do as kids, what we do as children, and we go, do you pinky swear? That's a reference to Yakuza. Like, do you pinky swear? You gonna lose your pinky over it? So, it's fascinating. So fingers are very, 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 very important. And it all goes back to God. What are you doing with your hands? What fruit are you producing? Okay. So anyway, it's all very fascinating. So, when, when she was in my brain when I was living in Oklahoma City, and she was like, I was decoding like crazy, and she was trying to steal everything, and she was beginning to take off running her new racket, planning for me to be in Tulsa, which is how it all worked out. Because she was controlling my life and she's controlling my son's life. She's controlling everything about us. And it's hard for my children. It's hard for everybody to believe that somebody could have this kind of control. She's got stolen artificial intelligence. You don't know it. And then when you know it, you're like, so, but you can't let it, like, everybody in the United States that listens to my podcast know it. There's no denying it. I mean, even Mark Zuckerberg gets on in my brain and like he makes everybody laugh. I know Mark Zuckerberg. He makes everyone laugh, especially in the saddest of times. He comes on and he'll make a joke about his Google glasses, or Elon Musk will come on and he'll make a joke about his robotic technology. Like he's selling a hovercraft right now, that something that literally levitates, that literally hovers. But they'll come on and make jokes because they know I know about, because I mean the artificial intelligence from the point of my birth was built around me, as you guys know, and Mario, which means a whole lot of zeros does not belong in Gene Roberts' pocket. It belongs in ours. And eventually, after Gene is arrested, I want to have a new life. I want to have a comfortable life. I want my children to have a comfortable life. I want Gene arrested. My first focus is Gene's arrest. My simultaneous focus is me and my family's safety, and let's make good. And then what is owed, you know where I want it to go. You know who I love. I trust that man. Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, they are the wisest people and the strongest people and the most compassionate people. They know I'm literally going through hell trying to get Jean turned in. And I'm just like, you know where I want that to go, because you know they deserve it. It needs to go for reparations. It needs to go to them. So Jean thinks she's going to broker any part of Microsoft, especially after what she did to me in Excel. She's sadly mistaken. I want Minister Louis Farrakhan to have all of Microsoft. I really do. I mean, really, rightfully, really. This is insane. But anyway, so, and I know Bill Gates too. I've talked to him, and he told me that he met me when I was little, but I don't remember meeting him. I do remember meeting Steve Jobs. I told you that in previous podcasts. But anyway, so with the fingers, okay, it's so cute. So Nation of Islam, they were on when I was living in Oklahoma City, and they promised me in my brain and mental telepathy they would never go anywhere. No matter what, they're not going anywhere. They know this is my decoded ciphers. They know Jean has been trying to steal from me. They know Jean is running a con. Jean tried to force worm her way into their life, trying to concierge them. And there's like nothing like anyone can do. She just tried to pull a stunt using a clip and sit. She's off right now whispering in my brain, but she's talking to someone else going, thank you, and telling a lie to someone. But I'm getting ready to bust Jean for that in future recordings after this shortly. I've got a lot of reports to make, but this is all about fingers. And so anyway, I was in Oklahoma City, and they were on, and Jean, okay, first of all, the cartel was on. So this was off. The cartel was on, and also the Aryan Nation, and also was connected to a lot of hip hop and stuff. And people in the Nation of Islam in my brain were talking to everyone that was on, and they're like, Jean Roberts keeps abusing Christina's fingers. She will not leave Christina alone. She keeps spreading these lies. We keep trying to tell people that Jean is lying. And Jean keeps seeming to keep getting her way, and she keeps abusing Christina's fingers and is driving us crazy. So, and she's using robotic technology on my body, and she's like messing with my fingers. And so what they did was Precious, every time Jean would attack my hands, they would replace all 10 of my fingers, and they would put gold rings on all of my fingers. Just beautiful, precious gold rings with little crosses. I had 10 gold cross rings on both of my hands. So when I looked at my hands, I had rings on every finger. And they would say, Christina, focus here. Don't focus on Jean's abuse of you. It was Precious. I mean, then Jean's people got more aggressive and more evil, and then they would attack even more. And they're like, no, you're not going to do that. And they would keep putting rings on my fingers. And it got to where it just wore out. They couldn't keep up with it. And they're like, Christina's got the strength in her. Christina knows how to ignore Jean. Christina will eventually be strong enough to turn in Jean Roberts and make the United States government pay attention that this woman has stolen artificial intelligence and is trying to steal Christina's evidence against her to try to cover herself, to try to cover her butt and get away with crime. So another thing that they tried to do was the cartel and the Aryan Nation. I don't know if it was a cartel or the Aryan Nation. I think it was the cartel. They were equally getting mad. They're like, we can go about this either direction. Jean, you need to leave Christina alone. So what they did was they said, Gina's off making up ridiculous lie-ass sick crap and are planning to abuse Christina and steal Christina's identity. And we don't want anybody paying attention to it because Jean's going to eventually be arrested, Jean Jernigan Roberts. And this is what we want to do. We have ability to communicate with intelligence, because I did have military intelligence on at the time, and I did have I had NASA on. So there was ways for people to communicate with each other. So they were like, ignore what Jean is doing. Let's use Christina's fingers to communicate when our leaders are on. So they transformed the... Yep.
Hey,
Up, it's recording. I had this on pause. Looks like she unpaused it.
Christina's A14.
I had to go move my car. Anyway, so anyway, they were like, we're going to use the different fingers on Christina's hand. Each finger is going to be assigned a different leader. And we'll move Christina's fingers depending on who's on. So when government leaders come on, we can move whichever finger, whether it would be, they had gang leaders, mob, Aryan Nation. So it was Bloods, Crips, Aryan Nation, cartel. So what they were doing is they were saying, if it's leaders in these gangs or in the cartel or mob, like towards the top but not at the top, they were assigning different fingers of mine, okay, but not my pinky. But if the top leader came on, such as the leader of Black Panthers, then the pinky was always assigned for a leader, and the leader of the group was never disclosed. So the pinky always stood for the leader, but unless you could hear in two-way, like without being muted, unless you could, you know what I'm saying? Like it could mean anybody, but it was meant to connect to leadership in the White House. So that's how they wanted to use my hands. So they started using my hands like that. And then she came on and she threatened them and claimed she was the mob. And then she started burning and stinging my pinky finger constantly. I mean, she did that for like, I'd say like 6 months to a year. She kept burning my pinky finger, claiming she was the leader of the mob, Jean Jernigan Roberts. And they're like, this bitch, I'm going to kill her. I'm going to fucking kill her. So, but people were like, they know that Jean is acting like she owns Christina, owns me. She doesn't. She thinks she's getting away with this. We know what you guys are trying to do, trying to communicate around Jean, trying to get her turned in. In their minds, they're like, we're going to eventually make Christina get vocal is what's going to happen. So we don't have to depend on mental telepathy and artificial intelligence, which is what I have now today, a podcast. Okay. So vocal means turning Jean in, and Jean was hacking the crap out of like everything. Just like right now, she's like stabbing me in my brain, trying to tell lies. I mean, she's just a sneaky snake liar. So the risks of me being able to get through to actual intelligence, making report after report after report, were like slim to none, because they knew Jean was going to hack. She was going to hack my reports, which is exactly what she did, and I got pushed even more by the Secret Service. We got to hear what you're saying, Christina. We know she's got your brain and body hijacked. So good, excellent effort, but it's not going to work because Jean's got a whole bunch of people that are committing a whole bunch of crime, and no matter what you do, she's going to flip it around and watch those. So it didn't work. It didn't get anywhere. And all that happened was this Jean Roberts kept burning the crap out of my pinky finger. She burns me she burns my nerve endings. She irritates my nerve endings. She does it in my teeth. She burns my nerve endings in all my body. Like if it feels like an electrical zap. And I do have power, like I've told you in previous podcasts, to make a request. And I don't often make a request. I do have power to make a request by asking, could you please electrocute Jean? And someone out there, I don't know who it is, turns and electrocutes the shit out of Jean Roberts in return. But I don't want to do that back and forth constantly, because she'll just go get her people, and next thing you know, they'll pull muscles in my body. They do all kinds of weird shit to my body. So, I mean, it's useless. Okay. But if I make a request in my brain, they're like, Christina, it's the cutest thing. They're like, Christina's a Scorpio child. She is the true Scorpio child. She should have the power to zap anyone she wants. If she makes a request for us to electrocute someone, we're going to electrocute them. And that's what they do. All I got to do is ask. And the military, when I got here to Tulsa, the military found out that there was electrocution powers. This is in my brain and mental telepathy. They're like, say what? They were like, I'm getting me some of this technology. And they have been fighting since to try to get access to all of this technology. They don't have access to all of it. And they still don't have access to all. And they've got access to technology that she wants. And she keeps trying to act like she's some military movement, and she's not. She committed stolen valor. She's the leader of an occult. That they will not move into this area of Tulsa because it'll just be hijacked by Jean. I mean, she is that adept at stealing. So, it's crazy, like what's going on. So anyway, it was really cool how they did that with the rings on my fingers. Like, let's do this the godly way. That wasn't working in the cartel. Like, let's do this the mob cartel way. And that didn't work either. Jean was just going to get her darn way. So anyway, I want to talk about the, more on the Fibonacci. So anyway, okay. So this is astounding. Okay. So I want you to also remember something as I talk through this. I'm going to bring this up, and then I'm going to go back to talking about Fibonacci. This is related, but I want you to be reminded of when I made a report and turned Jean in for drowning that little Latin boy. And remember what I told you what she did? the little boy was being pulled from the bathtub, okay, and he was drowned, he was deceased, and he was being pulled up by his elbow. So his elbow made like a pyramid shape, okay? So that's how he was being pulled from the bath water. And I could see this in mental telepathy. Jean literally told me that she drowned him, and she told me she would get away with it. And that's literally how I saw him being pulled from the bathwater in my brain. And I turned her in for it. And everybody knows that she did it. Now, her people lie their asses off to everyone. Oh, that's not true. I know Christine's talking about. Christine's crazy. Well, that means every one of those people is involved in doing the same thing. And they need to be held accountable. The Nation of Islam even tried to speak out. Gene Roberts did drown a little boy. We saw it in Christina's brain. I don't know why you keep covering for Gene Roberts. Because they could see it. They still had visuals at the time. Gene's got access to my brain visuals. You're lucky if you can see anything in my brain now. But they could see, they literally saw it. They could see it. She did do that. So this is important because this is related. Okay. So I just want you to have that in the back of your mind as I'm talking through this. So anyway, it proves what you guys have brought. I know that she has been sacrificing people, okay? I know that. I don't like saying it because it's just horrific sounding. I've decoded it. But what you guys told me, law enforcement and my brain intelligence working on these cases, you guys also know that these murders have been sacrifices. This proves that this was that. It makes sense that that's what she was doing, that's what she wants to do to me, is sacrifice me. She's insane. So anyway, so keep that in the back of your mind. I want to get back to the decode because I want you to hold on to all of the amazingness of this, but I want you to also know how she uses this for evil. Okay. So anyway, so your finger bones, okay, so remember I told you if you hold your arm out and then you curl your hand in like up by your temple, okay, so if you do the same thing on your hip, like if you put your finger bone or your fingers, if you curl your hands to your hips, what is that making? Both your hands on your hips, what are you making? You're making two pyramids, okay? Now, I know that there is also a pyramid that goes from your shoulder to shoulder, which is your head, and the point of the pyramid is above your head. So I know that's a pyramid too, and I know this is a pyramid, and this is a pyramid, okay? Which to me looks like a star. So there's even starfish. Somebody just brought that up with starfish. Like forming a human after a star, like if that was, because we're made of stardust. We have stardust and moon dust in us. Our eyes look like galaxies. As above, so below. That's how we're formed. So it seems like it's a cute thing, like the months on your knuckles. No, this is real. Like, it looks like we're formed like stars. And then what is it Da Vinci? The guy that has his arms and his legs out in that circle, that famous diagram, is that Da Vinci? It's a star. So anyway, and it's also wings, okay? So wings are very important. You see all decode on birds, wings, eggs, see all the ciphers, see all my podcasts, see everything. So anyway, so I'm like going, oh my God, your finger bones And then I'm like thinking about myself being really, really little. And I'm thinking about bony fingers. And I'm thinking about skull and crossbones. And what is skull and crossbones? What with your arm? Those are your arm bones. Okay, so I'm like, your fingers are related to your ribs. So there's correlation there. Your fingers to your rib cage. So it's making two pyramids. So something else that was blowing my mind was the three pyramids of Giza. Like when they built the pyramids of Giza, it's just it's just, oh my God, like everything is so precise and intentional. And they say the pyramids were built out of like, it's pure amazement how the pyramids of Giza were built. How human beings back then could make such monolith structures and make them so structurally perfect that they perfectly align with everything with the sun, moon, and stars. I've decoded a little bit about the pyramids. I know that I learned, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm correct when decoding, and I decoded the pyramids because she was using the pyramids based on my swing set from when I was in early grade school when I lived in Globe. Okay, I know that she's referring to pyramids there. And see, there's the two pyramids again. So then there's the pyramid. So then that pyramid, like if you take a swing set, and then what did I always build when I was little at my grandma Stacia's with the Tinker Toys? I always built swing sets and those snake rattle things. And that decodes out to future terror plots. So again, that is all linking to all the snake terrorism. Okay, so I decoded all that. So you guys know about the series of explosions, you know everything. So, and it's all around my childhood. Okay, because she used my childhood just like as a map, controlling my childhood, just like she used Nostradamus and everything else. Okay, it's insane. So anyway, you got to see all the decoded ciphers. You got to listen to my podcast to hear everything. So anyway, I learned by decoding the pyramids, even without looking the pyramids up, just by decoding, I'm like, there's mirroring happening with the pyramids that goes underground. So they're like, it makes like diamonds. And then I'm like, there's undergrounds underneath the pyramids. Like I was like, I know there's undergrounds under there. I know there is. And I know whatever is under there is priceless and amazing, and what every human in this world will probably never know. We know what we're wanted to know, but what's really there we'll probably never know because it's that precious. So anyway, I'm just like, so when I went to go look up the pyramids, I was like, is there undergrounds in there? And they said, yes, there's undergrounds underneath the pyramids. I was like, oh my God, I'm correct. So anyway, so that links, she's probably using because that was 1976. So that would be a star. And that's where, so somebody talking through my voice right now. They're reminding me like the 1976 equals 0. That was 1976. So that would be a star. So that would mean, and then you also, there's people talking through my voice again. So they're reminding me also how I decoded the big gigantic pyramids that are hidden in Arizona. Remember I told you it spans a state, and I've said it spans the entire state line, but I said it comes down into I meant to say it comes down into New Mexico. So anyway, all the way to the bottom. So anyway, so that was over. So the specific area is important there because that was in the first house we lived at in Globe, and we lived high on a hill. So I know there's something there. And I continue to decode my second house on East and Cottonwood, my backyard, okay, and there's all kinds of ciphers there. So I know that there is something going on there. So she was using that as the star, okay? So anyway, so the amazingness of the pyramids was, it's like who's first? God's first, but from there it is like I want to know everything and I don't know enough, and I hunger to know everything. Like, to be able to build the pyramids, like who was first? Were the pyramids or the humans? The humans were first before the pyramids. But the pyramid math is known before humans were created, because the pyramids were created based off of humans. So it's like all that went, like it all goes together, just like Easter Island, all that goes together. So it's just amazing to me, like math and science, it's just amazing to me. It's completely mind-blowing to me, like in ways I'll never be able to understand. So anyway, I'm like, okay, so this is what I know here is I know the bones in our hands and our fingers are correlated to our rib cage, because what is the first story of Adam and Eve? Okay, and I told you I decoded the true story of Adam and Eve, but what is in the Bible that everybody sees? Okay, which probably also correlates to what I decoded, but I'm not going over that right now. I'm going to what everybody sees, and that was that Adam was created out of the dust, and that a rib, unless I'm quoting this wrong, a rib was taken from Adam to create Eve. Okay, so this is very, very, very significant, very, very, very important. Okay, this is not exactly what happened, but this is exactly important. And I think to know both is important. You need to know this and you need to know this. So anyway, so the rib cage, for God to say a bone goes missing to create Eve, one of the rib cage, and then a woman's rib cage is one rib off from, not every woman is, I read in, because I just researched it, not every woman is missing a rib, but most women, I believe, are missing a rib or they have an extra rib. Okay, so anyway, I know it's correlated to the number of your finger bones are correlated to the number of your ribs. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere, and it connects pyramid. See the pyramid? They're also probably saying, you know how they use the lambda sign, the Sparta symbol? Okay, so the Sparta symbol going sideways is Sparta opening. Okay, so that probably is signs of connecting to Revelations all the way back from Genesis. And you have to be following along with my entire podcast to follow me here. Otherwise, you're not following me. Okay, you have to know everything about Genesis. So it's more evidence of this going all the way back to Genesis, the planning of Revelations or Revelations in the future. So anyway, so using Adam and Eve. So, okay, so now let me go to the math on this. Okay, so hang on. Okay, so here we go. So we're back to the Fibonacci, the golden spiral, the golden ratio. Okay, so there's 24 ribs. Okay. So if you take the four horsemen, okay, it connects to the four horsemen of the apocalypse. If you take the four horsemen, so if you do 6 divided by 24, that's 4. That connects to, and if you take 6, the prime of 6, that's 33. Or you got 222, or you have 1111. So it's like figuring out all of the numbers that go along with this. So it connects to the four horsemen in the future revelations. Adam and Eve's ribs connects to your fingers, your finger bones, okay? So there's 24 ribs, okay? So that would be 13, I think it's 24 or 26, and then I think it's 13 each side. I can't remember I've got my notes here, but I can't remember everything that I had. So I'm just gonna give you my notes. So there's 4 fingers, there's 12 ribs, there's 3 with an extra digit, so that's 13. Also, the extra rib in the female, or one less in the male, is an extra pair of ribs. It's an extra 2. So that is where you get the 6 from. So the 4 plus 2 is 6, and 6 divided by 24 is 4. That is the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. That's connected to the 4 horsemen. So based on average human anatomical measurements, and this is also very relevant, the ratio of the length. So now I want to see ratios. Ratios are so important. So I'm like on the mission of what's the ratio? The ratio of the length of a finger to the length of a rib is approximately 1:3 or 1:4. So you have 13 and 14, which is completely amazing. That's mind-blowing. All of this is mind-blowing. Finger length. The average adult human finger, specifically the middle finger, is roughly 79 centimeters long. So you definitely want to do the math with 79 minus 76 minus 71 minus 37, and there's probably a whole lot more here, but I wanted to just specifically go over your fingers connecting to your ribs and your fingers are connected to the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. So, and also when you make a fist, okay, your fighting hand, you know how people pump their fists in the air? Okay, so imagine this back then. That's also uprisal, which is the same thing as the movement of the lambda symbol, uprising. So it's talking about future revelation. So where this goes, if you go to the 4 horsemen, and you go look up verses and you pay attention to the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, I've decoded there so many times. I did not go back again to go see how it relates to this, because I already know without even going there to the scripture again. But I guarantee if you go research 4 horsemen of apocalypse, you're going to see going all the way back, even that with Moses, because he was adopted by Egyptians, wasn't he? So anyway, this is all just very amazing to me. It's completely amazing how perfectly formed we are. It's amazing the human strength and what humans were capable of doing, the greatness that humans were capable of doing so long ago. and they had that knowledge and wisdom right from God himself. It is amazing to me. I want to know everything, and I know I'll never know everything. And I can't wait till this is over and Gina's arrested so I can study and learn and just blow my mind. Anyway, that's all for this recording.